What is up, fight fans, and welcome to a special edition of the Scrap Report. I am, of course, Jason Burgos for Ringside Intel, and on this edition of the podcast, I have the pleasure of being joined by the defending PFL light heavyweight king, who will continue his road to defending his throne on August 16th in his playoff rematch with Joshua Silveira, and that is the one, the only Impa Kasanganay champ. Thanks for joining me today.
I appreciate you. How you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic. I have a lot of questions. Also, for folks out there who watch this, please like, share, hit the subscribe button. So, Impa, not only are you one of the best stories in PFL over the last year, honestly, one of the best stories in the entire sport. Many know how your UFC story unfairly ended just after 4 fights, but confidence is massive for a fighter. How different is your confidence level right now compared to this point a year ago, where you were heading into a fight for MMA? And, coming off of losing 3 out of your 4, how different are you feeling as a fighter now compared to a year ago?
Man, I've always it's not so much about how I feel. I always had the faith that this is who I am, and I just had to keep pressing forward. I was never down and out. The only thing I used to wonder is why couldn't I get a fight, or why doesn't anyone take a fight, or God, why is this happening now? But I never lost the faith about that. The way I see myself now is how I've always seen myself as a champion. I've always seen myself as the hard work's gonna pay off. Keep challenging yourself. Keep coming to the gym early. Keep doing the extra work, and then you'll get what you need out of it. And just how I feel now is it's affirmation that it all paid off. It's paying off.
You have won 9 of your last 8. Your lone loss is to one of the most underrated fighters in the sport, in Johnny Eblen. You're right in the middle of your prime, fighting as well as ever. Is there a moment that you feel you can pinpoint and go right there? That's when just things really clicked, went to a different kind of level. My game went to a different level. The sport has gotten easier.
One, I'll say I won that Johnny Eblen fight. We know that one. Number 2. Number 2. So 9 out of 9. I was talking to Dieter, my trainer, and I'm going to isolate myself. I'm going to disappear for a while. And I moved on to a farm and made that choice. And I fought a guy, or before that, actually, I fought Jared Gooden. He's in the UFC now, but I fought him in MMA. Got the finish, and I knew that it was all coming together, right? The way Dieter and I were trained, we were working. And it kind of came off of time, too, because I fought another fight before that, the Eagle, and I won that fight as well. They said I lost, but it was close. That was a really good guy, Magamedelia. And I was like, okay. I did some sprints after the fight and said, you're moving forward. And really just reorganized everything, protected my heart, moved things in my life that I don't need. And then Jared Gooden fight, finished him. Isolated myself for a while, and man, now you're seeing the fruits of that labor.
Why do you feel like isolation made a difference? Was there just from the life of a fighter, the training, or maybe the pressure of it? Did you feel there was just so much kind of noise in a way that isolation was the best way to kind of just quiet noise, or why is that?
No, it wasn't so much escaping or that, but it's I'm a Christian. My faith, I always talk about for instance, gotta take you to places, anyone else who can speak to you. If you look at David in the Bible, Moses, anybody, before you hit that next stage, sometimes it's good to isolate yourself. But you have different challenges in life. It wasn't from the noise. It wasn't running away from all that. Because if anything, my life got more active and quote unquote noisier or busier. It could be. But I think the best way to manage and the best way to control that you're supposed to be is to spend time. So I do a lot of praying, meditating, journaling. Spend time in nature, and they say if you want to hear God's voice, just go spend time in nature. So I'm really, really big. I go hikes, I walk trails, the beach, riding my motorcycle, just being in the elements, So and then I'm just getting in my word, and I would read and worship, and that's a time for me to really recognize. It would help me recognize what's next. And I work on a few different projects, entering a film festival. I own my own gym now. I've, through Harvard Business School certificate program, I knew that I was hitting another stage of my life, and I needed to organize everything. You need to be careful when you're taking that next step, who you allow, who you want to let, and whose life you're going to pour back into too. So that's why it's important, because I truly just recognize that the best is yet to come. I knew where I was at that time wasn't where I was meant to be, I had everything that I needed. I went to the gym, I trained, my family, I loved my family, and I was still working on other projects. So I knew once it all clicked, that those that see, like, maybe some people see you as crazy or see me as crazy, whatever, but I knew that I'd be here now. That I only know this the best is yet to come. Like I feel like I know that last year was an introduction, this year's a stamp of who I am, and it's a continued forever reign. You know, and that's the
Yeah.
focus. Be the best. You know, dominate. And when you have those moments coming up, it's like anything before it grows. You got to put yourself like in that quiet space, that quiet place, and give yourself permission to grow. But that's all that it was.
Talking about the idea of things getting noisier now because of success and all these kind of things, you've been in the position of being a high level prospect in the UFC. You've been released by the company, then now being one of the top fighters in another major organization. It may not seem like it, but I'm not a high level athlete. So explain to me, is there an added pressure at all when you are seen as the man to either win dominantly, maybe to sell tickets for an event and maybe in a main event kind of role? Is there any added pressure as a top star now, or is that idea maybe a little overblown?
Oh man, my dad always taught me when I was a kid, like you have to journal, you have to write, to believe who you're called to be, right? And my mom as well. But when I was a kid, like I've always seen myself like if you're gonna do something, be the best at it. I was telling my guys I train with, like my friend Wendy's on the phone right now. Like it's like if you want to be the best, you gotta want your training partner to be the best, and you want to be the best. So then the standard is just get better, get better, get better. And ever since I was young, I mean, even before PFL, when I was in the UFC, I'd see the champion in my weight class, I'd take a picture of it. I respectfully would put my name as champion there. I'd always visualize that as a fighter now in PFL. I always say PFL Challenger champion last year. This year, PFL 2024 light heavyweight champion and super fight champion when that fight comes. But I've always seen myself as champion. And I've had 3 title fights in 1 year at 103. And it's like I don't seek validation from the judges. I don't seek validation from technically even friends or people who just see every day. It's like I have people that I hold close that I really respect their thoughts, values, and opinions. But most importantly, I seek my validation from God. So like that's where I find my peace. Like I'm never super high, super low. I challenge myself like with my standards to get that finish, dominate, do what I need to do as far as being a fighter. But being the man that I want to be, it's like how do I become a better man in all that I do, and how do you make the people around you better? That's what I constantly think about and live. So no added pressure because there's no more pressure than I can put on myself. There's no more pressure than it's like so like when other like if your standard's so high and if you're like I contain it, I control it, and I just pray about it. And really, in my life, like if there any bit of pressure, like the fighting for me is peaceful. The fighting for me is fun. Like this is what I get to do. I do so many other projects outside the gym that I have a passion for those to be excellent, and that's good standards. So those would be like, oh, is that pressure? But no, it's just like it's my life. And so when I go to a fight week, it's like it's free, and then I get to do that in the fight. Whereas I don't really care for people's opinions, what people write about me. Because if people wrote me off after the Buckley fight, oh, he was just a good athlete and he made it to the UFC and this that. Like no, like I told my dad, I said we're in the ambulance heading to the hospital. I said don't worry, I'll finish my next fight. And I told everybody, play that highlight as much as you want, but the day I'm a champion, play that highlight too. And I've always kind of been that guy. I don't know if it's just about my character, demeanor, or just maybe how like people feel comfortable. People always have a comment or something to say.
Yeah.
I just kind of let it wash on my back. I think about it, meditate on it, and I'm like, okay, now watch this.
Yeah.
Now watch this.
Speaking of like being a top star, Silveira probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in the division. He's had 3 losses, but they are to you, Rob Wilkinson, who's been great in the PFL, another UFC vet, Amir Akhmedov, to go a lot of big wins too. Sadib Boussi being one of them. He's right in his prime too. Has he gotten better in this season of the show? The league, watching him from afar. Do you think this rematch is tougher in any way from the championship fight last year?
As far as the rematch being tougher, no. Like I maybe did my job, dominate no matter what comes victory. It doesn't take away from Josh. It's not like Josh is a worse fighter based on his record and based on he's lost 3 fights. Like those things may as well never happen. It's a brand new day, brand new battle. Like if you look at any military, you can say, oh, they went through all these moments, but they're gonna fight again. And I know Josh will come to fight. He's got good coaching. He's smart. He's skilled. He's gotten better for sure. Like, he's shown some things. He's shown some things where he's definitely improved. Uh, with that being said, like I know who I am and whose I am, so I don't stress that. I respect who he is. I definitely study him. I study a lot of things, that people might not realize. But also too, when it comes down to it, it comes down to me fighting. I done got to do my job. Take him out.
And it's hard to be better than running through an entire season, top seed, championship, all those kind of things. Heading into the season, what were the areas of your game maybe you felt that you could get better, improve on? And do you feel through the second season, have you gotten better in those spaces?
Yeah, for sure. I'm still improving. I was continuously refining. Uh, and striking, setting up certain shots. I mean, I see me getting finishes now. So that was a big thing. I always knew I had the ability to finish people, and I believe I can. I believe I will, and I allow myself to give myself permission to. And then, patience and trust in it. You see through the grappling exchanges, you saw the difference between the Johnny Evans fight and the Alex Pereira fight. You saw Alex Pereira did the former champion. Mm-hmm. Whoever champion, you're forever a champion. Right? So there are a lot of areas of my mixed martial arts journey that are still growing and that are still refining, which is cool because when I started this at 24, I'm 20, 30 now, and I didn't grow up doing martial arts. I didn't grow up doing different disciplines like boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. So it's like it's always continuously growing and learning, and I have great trainers. So Dieter, Henry J. Jones, Bobby Lawler, Lance, all these minds that are coming together. Sean, like you have a list of people. And it's Herbert Burns, like it's all coming together, and I say the best is yet to come.
As always, for the people watching this, wherever you're listening to, please like, share, subscribe to our channel. Two more questions. I'm not sure if it's the same, but in previous years, PFL contracts used to end after the season. Will you be a free agent after these playoffs? And if, would you be interested in an offer from the UFC? Or you know what? That bridge has been burned and you'd rather be loyal to the PFL and stay with them.
I don't say any bridge has been burned, but I mean, I'm grateful to be in the PFL. God's been blessing my water here. Been blessing my grass here. Say if the grass is green where it is. Mm-hmm. Anywhere God sends me, I'll go. That's my prayer. It's like I don't stress. Man, I love it, man. I really do love being part of PFL. And I love staying active. That's where God has me. That's where God has me. God sent me to the UFC. God sent me to the UFC, and I'll dominate anywhere. I'll be champion there too. The biggest thing is just like wherever I need to be is where I'm going to be, and wherever I'm going to be is where I'm going to dominate. So I had an excellent time in the UFC, though I was, cut and all these different things. People say it was unfairly, but it wasn't. They say like, the many of the plans are man, but the Lord orders our steps. It's like kind of how I looked at it. It was not like that thing where I'm like, oh shit. I was just like, no, God, like I know you have a great plan for my life. But I'm not going to stress it. Did it like, were there challenges that came with it? Yeah, but those challenges also made me better. Right? I was like, oh, cool, get back into accounting. Okay, keep it, just your education. Like I said, like 2 years ago, I was living a year ago and a half ago, I was living in a year on a farm. And then now, place, and I own a gym and champion. It all was for a reason, so I don't stress it. And so wherever I were to be, like I want to fight the best and dominate. I believe PFL's doing great things. They're helping fighters in Africa develop. I have friends, maybe how other friends get in the organization. It's not all about you. I think like being a champion, to me you're not truly a champion unless you help others develop to be a champion.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my focus. That's my focus. So wherever I can be, wherever I can fight, and I want major contracts. If you look at it as a business, oh yeah, making great money. PFL offers a major contract, and it's awesome. If it was the UFC, then it's like okay, like thank you for all that you've done, and I get. I mean, I guess I'll go, go there, but I really love it. Like I see in the UFC, you see guys like they're still wanting fights, they're still asking for fights, they're still like top 5, top 10, they're still begging for fights. PFL's has eliminated that, and that's done wonderful things in my life, in my family's life. You work with a company that's doing great work, and you're taking care of your family, which this is still our job. I know who I am. Like, if you put me up against any guys, who's the UFC middleweight champion right now? Is it Dricus?
Yep.
Dricus, take him out. Pereira, take him out. I don't care, heavyweight, whoever, out, anybody, just any one of those weight classes, let me fight. And like, I don't need jaw back and forth with them, or I just come meet me at the gym, meet me outside, meet me here, and we can meet in the cage. But all that matters is like I know who I am. That's my validation. So yeah, I mean, after this season, I have I believe I have the option. I like PFL. I mean, it'd be kind of cool if PFL did an 85 kind of bit. That'd be cool. I would love that. It'd be nice. I mean, my body's healthier than it's ever been. It's pretty cool. I consider it a blessing. Not many people get to have 10 fights in a year, right?
Yeah.
Or a little over a year or 11 or whatever it is now, and still continue to take fights, be healthy for besides the random nicks and bruises. So yeah, I mean, when you're blessed, you take things differently, and you ride it, and you ride with it. So I'm
Yeah.
just grateful.
Last question, and your answer kind of segues to where I was going anyway. Been phenomenal, light heavyweight, probably beat one of the best middleweights in the world, Johnny Eblen. There's been talk of recently rumblings about, maybe the UFC will be open to co-promotion for John Jones and Ngannou fight if the Saudis gave them the kind of money. Hypothetical dream scenario. They also do other cross promotion fights in different weight classes on the fight. How do you feel you match up with a Alex Pereira, a Dricus Du Plessis? Because those are two guys you could possibly face in something like that.
Finish both of them.
Oh, and why do you feel that where do you feel that you have big advantages? Because those are two of the best fighters in the world.
I know who I am. I mean, I showed up and speaking it. I've been focused on my faith. I know God called me to be. I'm supposed to be the best, and that's who I am right now. And I don't ever, have to put a guy down or anything like that. But I have great training partners who help me prepare more than even needed to take out the people that will take out. And that's why you see it. I go for the challenging rounds. I'm continuously refining myself. And, man, when it comes down to it, I love to be in there, right? And that shines through. Like, you lock me in a cage with anybody, I finish them. That's my standard. And I believe that, like, when you have guys that are also excellent, right? Many would consider Johnny Eblen one of the best 85ers in history.
Yeah.
Beat him. And I've improved since then. I'm young in this, and I have the best that's yet to come. Dricus, solid fighter, solid guy. As far as just when it comes down to fighting, like those are the guys that I want. I want the guys that want to kill. I want the guys like that. Instead of me, when I pray to God that they do that they do have the cross promotion, I fight both of them back to back. Just let me show what I can do, and that'll be the beginning and end of me talking about somebody. But it's like I'll just show what I can do.